Okay, I'll tell you what, right? Let me get a little bit into that real quick, okay? Rich had about 5 or 6 different spots. All right now, Catfish. He had like 5 or 6 different spots, right? I ran one of them for a 12-hour shift, and another dude ran another one. I ran a spot for him on 144th between 7th and Lenox. And another dude ran another 12-hour shift. On a bad day, I would bring Rich 7,000, 8,000. That was a dead day. On a good night, 15, 16, 17,000 one night. This is just one spot, one shift. One shift. So you got another 12-hour shift coming, you understand? And that's on one spot. So at his peak, he had like 5 spots or whatever the case may be. And if I had to guess, I guess he might have been clearing maybe 80, 90,000 a week. If you put it all together from the other spots, everything combined. That's just a rough estimate with me thinking about the spot that I had something to do with and knowing about the other ones too. You know what I mean? But when Donnell got kidnapped, it had everybody messed up, you know? I literally saw Donnell coming out the building, and I asked him, was he all right? And he said, yeah. I asked him if he got money. I knew he had money, but that's just something I just do. He pulled out a knot, said he taking everybody to McDonald's. He had about 1,000 hours on him. He was only 12. You know what I mean? He said he was taking everybody to McDonald's. It was cold, you know what I'm saying, that day, or whatever the case may be. But he was a good boy, man. He wasn't involved with none of this. He didn't know nothing about this. He just knew his brother was getting money, and he was known. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, man. So, you know, basically, you got light? So, fuck it. So, yeah. So yeah. So when Donnell got taken, you know, that was a tumultuous time for everybody. You know what I mean? I followed them and seen when they went to McDonald's and came back out, and I saw the look on Pat's face. I mean, the look on Rich's face. He wouldn't tell me what was going on. He got mad because I followed anyway. You know what I'm saying? Just get it one thing there, I still work for him. I was one of his lieutenants, but I worked for the man, you understand? So, the reason why, we all know now, it's ain't nobody telling on nothing or nothing, it's already documented, we know for a fact. The reason why Priest should have asked for that 500,000 like that, because
December 5th, 1989, 12-year-old Donnell Porter was walking to elementary school alone. He never made it to class that day.
Malik, the one who killed the little boy, he ended up telling me some of the details of what happened. Basically, he probably told me 90% of it, you know what I'm saying, of what happened. Apple, Rich Porter's uncle, was the one who brought that to my father about kidnapping the little boy to get more money from Rich. Rich was already giving my father some type of money, you know what I'm saying? But he told my pops that he can get more from Rich because Rich got millions. So, something like that. So it was Apple who brought it to my pops. And the funny thing is, I don't understand why he did that because that's his blood. You know what I'm saying? My pops is just somebody he down with, you know what I mean? But that goes to shows how fucked up we was. Malik told me that Apple was the one who brought that situation to my pops, right? And told him that it was easy for him to get the nephew because the nephew goes to school, you know what I'm saying, in the morning, such and such time, and pick him up. So my pops said, all right, hey, he agreed to it, you know what I'm saying? So when they snatched the kid up, you know what I mean, they brought him to this basement that we used to use, you know what I'm saying, for gun shoot practice and all that shit. We had this basement, we had this whole fucking building, you know what I'm saying? And they brought him over there, you know what I mean? And Apple told my father that he can get probably 500,000 from Rich. That was the thing there, you know what I'm saying? And they called Rich house or whatever and told him that they got the brother or whatever, you know what I'm saying, and this is what they want. Rich, I believe Rich said that all he could have was like half of that, like he'd get them 250,000. My father was willing to take that, right? But Apple and Malik himself was like, nah, we can still get more. We can still get more from him. So my pops was like, all right, he settled for that. Like, all right, we're gonna give you some time.
Keep in mind that these boys is 23, 22, 24 years old. they young and they young-minded. You know, they buying a lot of cars and shit like that, but the cash is, yeah, listen, the cash wasn't quite on deck like that to get 500 racks like that. So when Rich says at 24 years old, I only got 100,000, and this is 89.
Yo, hey, Sonny's gone, man. What? Yo, somebody took him, man. Somebody.
What you mean somebody took him?
Nah, this shit is real, B. They came around, they dropped off a note, man, asking for money, man.
Who?
Look, they want 500,000 and they gonna kill him or something. That's what they said, man.
Shit, $500,000.
I only got 120,000 on me right now. Cash. Hey, I need that connect, man. I need to get these keys, man, so I can get this money for Sonny's ransom, B.
Yeah, listen, slow down a second, man. You know, I mean, I got you. You know, I got you.
You know what I'm saying? Cause this ain't for him, eh? This ain't for him, man.
To me, it was that he was so focused on getting Donnell back. He was just focused on getting him back, even though after the finger and all that, we knew boy gone, man. I cried all that out, man. I cried all that out, man. It's a lot of people that left since then that made my heart feel bad that they not here no more. You know what I'm saying? If he got 100,000 cash, I watched him scrape up another 150,000 in 2 days. You understand what I'm saying? So all he had to do is just get rid of a couple of Porsches, get rid of a couple of BMs. You know what I'm saying? Get rid of a Range or two or whatever, the Saab. You know what I'm saying? Just get rid of them. Between the three of them, man, they bought. It's a parking lot on 132nd between 7th and Lenox, where Rich moved to later on. Rich is not from 132nd, 7th and Lenox. He's from 146 in Congress. I'm from 146 in Amsterdam. That's why I knew Rich from the beginning. You understand? So when he moved to 132nd and 7th and Lenox, it's a parking lot right there on 7th before you get in the block to where they used to live at. They bought that. The whole parking lot. The whole parking lot. Why they had to buy it? Because where you going? You got 3 dudes under 25, 40 cars maybe. So where you gonna put them? You don't want to keep, I mean, even though you got money, you don't want to keep getting tickets and keep, you know, you don't want to keep doing that. Buy the parking lot.
So it was true that it was Preacher and not just his
It was, we know now that, you know, pardon me, y'all. Sorry about that. The uncle that everybody knows in the movie, that's Ice. His name is Apple, Johnny Apple. You understand what I'm saying? He was down with Preaching like a henchman type nigga, but they knew that he was a dope fiend, so they kind of sunned him a lot. You understand what I'm saying? But to put pressure on that man, and he already was hating on. He used to come up to me sometimes at the spot and say, yo, my nephew said, give me 500-600. And at first I used to give it to him. Then after a while, Rich screaming on me like, yo, don't get that nigga nothing of mine. So he would come and tell me, yo, my uncle said, I'm like, yo, listen, man. Rich was like, I knew 3 people in Harlem with cell phones back then. Rich was one of them. He would get mad if you talked to him too long on it, because it was $1 a minute back then. You understand what I'm saying? I go to the payphone, call him, yo. Your uncle said, I don't give a fuck what that nigga said. Tell that nigga get the fuck out your face. And I look right at him and be like, yo, he said, get the fuck out my face. You know what I mean? So, you know, like I said, man, he was Apple was an old goon nigga that the dope and all that made him soft. He wasn't soft far as like little people go, or young people go, but amongst his peers, he was soft. You understand what I'm saying? So he was like a flunky for Preacher. That Preacher was able to lay that pressure game down on him after he already was bitter that Rich kept giving him shit. Yeah, nigga, this ain't for you. Yeah, that's one of the true parts. That's what. Exactly. I gave it to you to get on, nigga. You want to be a dope fiend. I ain't. What the fuck I got to do with that? And I only gave it to you because you my uncle. You understand what I'm saying? You know. But Yeah, man. You know, like I said, Rich tried to take care of everybody. He tried to look out for everybody. He wasn't the type of dude that, even though he was getting it, you didn't feel that bad energy. What I feel and most people meant by when Rich died, part of Harlem died, was because Harlem had that extra swagger to it, man.
If they killed me and somebody made that statement, I wasn't Harlem. I represented Harlem.
Right.
I represented, but Harlem didn't stop moving or didn't stop when Richard was when that happened to Richard. I don't understand that statement, but that's the way he felt. And again, that's just, I guess he feels better if he glorifies him. So.
You understand what I'm saying? It had that extra swagger to it then. And when he died, it was like, damn. You know, even though it might sound a little harsh or whatever, but it was a billion niggas you could think of that deserved to die over Rich. You feel where I'm coming from? Like, anyway, when they said he killed Harlem, when they said when he killed Rich, he killed Harlem, it was because of that. It was because of Rich's demeanor. It was because of the way he treated everybody. It was the way Rich made everybody feel. From that east side, like, I got love for a lot of niggas over there, but they know how they was in the 80s. Them niggas was killing up everything, and they was quietly killing up everything. But they was killing their own. They was, you know, you don't set a nigga up you grew up with. Look, that's what I'm saying. It's the shit he did to Rich. It was a lot of that shit going on the east side, my nigga.
Did I kill Rich? And yes. And I gave him the opportunity to tell me the truth, not once but twice. So when I already came with the plan with my little man, and like, yo, if he lied to me, we just gonna do what we need to do.
To me, it was that he was so focused on getting Donnell back. He was just focused on getting him back, even though after the finger and all that, we knew boy gone, man. I cried all that out, man. To me, like I said, man, when I put two and two together after the things I heard, the things that I saw, the little things that were said, you know how dumbfounded I was when I found out that Poe really did kill Rich? I was one of the niggas thinking Pat was crazy. I love Pat like a big sister. I would never disrespect her or nothing, but she was wigging anytime she seen any of us talking about anything. You know what I mean? She knew it. She knew it. She definitely knew it.
I remember seeing him on 127th and 8th Avenue. He was with some of my brother's so-called friends. They were all out there on 127th and 8th Avenue, and he couldn't even look in my face. I didn't know whether it was because he felt bad for me, or now I know it probably was just his guilt. But at that time, my mother said from day one through the door, Alpo killed my son. We were saying that it was Alpo. Nobody believed us. Like, nah, that was Rich Man. Like, he wouldn't have fucking killed Rich. Word up. Like, people thought that I was bugging, you know, for even saying that Richard Man did him some bodily harm. Like, Pat bugging the fuck out. Alpo niggas was still fucking with him. I used to be like, y'all better leave that man alone or whatever. I'm telling y'all, whatever. Nobody believed that it was him.
But yeah, I just feel like you know, Rich would have gave him the money. I think he would have gave it to him. I think that time would have had to heal itself and everything, even though, but I know for a fact that it wouldn't have been like what it turned into if Donnell would have got kidnapped.
Richard, okay, I had a connect. I had a young Dominican connect off of Broadway, and you know, he wasn't really in position at the time when I was really dealing with him to really front me crazy. You know, he would front me one or two, but he wasn't really in a position where, you know, we wanted him to front us like, you know, 50, 60, 100 keys. We didn't want to put up no money. We want you to front us, and we'll pay you when we, you know, get the drugs. Or if we got 100 from you, we'll put up some of the money and we'll pay you the rest. You know what I mean?
Right.
Well, we don't have to go in the stash for our money. So my connect wasn't in position at the time like that. And Richard was dealing with his connect that he met when he did that year in prison. He met a connect when he did that year in the Bronx house.
Okay.
So this kid was hitting him lovely, but then it stopped. The kid caught a dry spell. Since you ain't got nobody to get no drugs from, deal with my man, he'll give you a good price, and the money I'm bringing from out of town, you know, we'll hit him. And when he starts fronting us the drugs, you let me know. Because I had other connects. I had like 2 or 3 other connects that I was able to deal with too. So the time came where he was going to start fronting us the coke.
Okay.
But I was out of town. Since I was out of town, he wasn't able to catch up to me. It was easy for him to just deal with Rich.
Right.
Give it to Rich and let Rich give it to me.
Right.
So that's what happened. If he gave 100, I was supposed to get 50. You know what I mean?
I know.
At the same price that he was charging Rich. I was supposed to get it for that price too.
Right.
But before this came along, I was already dealing with Rich with his connect. So if his connect was charging whatever, I didn't have no problem with Rich making $1,000, $2,000 off of me, because I was coming to spend $300,000-$400,000 with him. But now my connect is giving it from 12, 13. My original connect is giving it to for 12, 13, and I'm supposed to get half of that at that price. But Rich got me thinking that the coke that I'm getting from him is still coming from his connect. So then I wound up bumping into my connect because I wound up staying up there a couple of days, and I wound up running into my connect.
Okay.
So I bump into him. So I said, "Yo, what's up, man?" I said, "Yo, what's up, man? When are you gonna start, you know, looking out for a brother, man?"
Okay.
He was like, "What you talking about, Pope?" I said, "Man, you know what that I'm talking about. When you gonna start fronting us this and that?" And he had a lot of respect for me. I had a lot of respect for him. And so I said, "Yo, when you?" So he's like, "Yo, what are you talking about?" I just gave Rich like 60 joints. This time he had just gave Rich like 60 bricks.
Okay.
And 30 of those bricks were mine.
Okay.
So I'm saying, "No, you didn't. You didn't." Rich got coke from his man. He said, "Man, Pope, I'm telling you, man." I said, "Oh, yeah?" I said, "Yeah, all right, man." And he described them. And I remember I had just got these like round joints from Rich that were real good. And I think they had like Reagan or somebody on them.
Okay.
They were real good, man. And he described them to me and everything.
Okay.
So I said, "Yo, all right." I said, "Yo, we never had this conversation, man."
You know, and I try to warn Rich, like, yo, you know what I mean? It's real like that. But he getting so much money and he's so deep in the game because, you know, after I got shot, he started, I think, messing with this cat named Fritz. And Rich was getting boxes of keys, and he had a remedy where he was cooking that thing. He was making a lot of money, a lot of money. And I don't even think he had time to think about what was really going on around him. It just seemed like it was one big plot, one big plan. And the target was on our head, man. Because when 1990 came, you know, it's like we had a 6-year run from 84 to 1990. And when 1990 came, it seemed that's when all hell broke loose, man. For real. It just seemed like it was a big plot somewhere being planned for our demise. August 20th, 1987. That was the day I got shot. It didn't have to go down like that, you know what I mean? Being honest. You know, stick up, robbery. And shot like 5 people. You know? I lived through it. But I got shot in the head twice, you know? Got shot here. Got shot here. Got shot in the neck, the shoulder, hand. Shot all up in the leg, and shot 3 times in the leg. My leg was broken in like 3 different spots. Lost my sense of smell. I can't smell to this day from the gunshot wound.
10 o'clock news.
Welcome back. The streets of the Bronx are a lot safer tonight.
That's right, Rosanna, because 2 vicious killers are in jail for life. You're about to see the judge throw the book at them, but not before they made one last defiant stand.
What was he worried about is the Yankees going to stay in the Bronx. That's all we worry about. We're not concerned about human beings. And I hope he gets paid. You said your piece?
I said my piece. Give me my time. I'm gonna get out of here.
Odds are Henry Bolden and Ronald Timmons will never set foot on a city street again. The brazen killers were sentenced to 112 years to life for the execution-style murders of 3 and the shooting of 3.
I was supposed to be in that house. My boy Rick, which is Cato's brother, if it wasn't for him, A would have been dead. He would have died in that house. Rick and my boy, his name is Calio. They went up to the house in the Bronx. A said, damn, I forgot to get bottles. Gave them money, Calio and my boy Rick, to go get bottles. The girl that the dumb King Erner nigga talking about, the young girl, she jumped out the cab and he was like, what's going on? She was, you know, I don't want to say stalking, but in love with him, and you know, he wasn't really paying her no attention like that, but she knew about the little hideaway house. He didn't even know she was coming. And seeing her was like, oh, all right, come on, god damn. So that's how she was there. So he gets there. Normally they say, Joanne look out the window. What's going on? Curse you out first. She was the older lady, cool lady. Curse you out and then throw the key down for you to come up. He was yelling Joanne. The key just comes flying out the window. He'd never see her. He was like, man, she probably drunk. Come on, man. They go in, send my boy and them to get bottles. Get upstairs, door open, putting guns on them.
A humid August night outside along the Grand Concourse as the 3 killers silently crept up 3 flights of stairs, then down this hallway to this corner apartment. Once they pushed their way inside, they rounded up 6 friends, one of them a 13-year-old girl. They shoved them back into a rear bedroom, made them lie on the floor, and then pumped 25 shots into the backs of their heads and bodies.
Him, her, my boy Charlie C. Charlie C got killed. Joanne, other 2 friends. The girl didn't get killed because she was running around the room like, get off me, wouldn't. So they ain't hit her in the head right. A was like, they kept telling him, open the safe.
Yo, Calvin, man, why you doing this, man? I can tell that's you.
Fuck all that. Shut the fuck up. Fucking answer me why this and why that. Now you think I'm playing?
No,
you think I'm playing? Open that fucking safe, man.
The Kevin nigga told him there's a lot of money in that house, and that's why they did that job. And the job was to kill everybody because they know Kevin. So, they, like the King Erner nigga saying once again, with the AZ was soft, they ain't need no guns and all that to do all that. They did because Kevin, ain't no Kevin. So if that shit would have happened, after that it's gonna be a problem. Cause at that time, Alpo, Rich Porter, and Gangsta Lou, myself, all my team, all my niggas would have jumped off the building for AZ at this time. He was still that nigga. So it was no he's soft and all that shit ever. So anyway, I went and seen my fucking nigga in the hospital. His head was swole like a watermelon. After the operation with the incision, you can see where they did it around the middle part of his head, where they sewed his head back up. That shit kind of fucked me up. So, like I said, me, Rich Porter, a few of my friends, Rich Porter, you know, when Kevin ain't never come around, we went to his house and was waiting for him. Rich Porter called us down there. He gave everybody 2 of them toys, 2 toys apiece, and we was waiting for him to come. Sitting across the street in this park, waiting at his mom's house. He lived there.
Preacher and most of the dudes he been with, like, take for instance, Rich Uncle, they all was the same age. These niggas wasn't no young dudes like us. We was teenagers, man. So that's what it was. That's why this shit happened with A. That's why Ron doing them was on A and, you know, on.
And then, like, we all gathered up together in the house and started realizing that this was something that, like, really wasn't a joke. Like, they kept calling and they kept trying to make contact to let us know that they had captured or taken Donnell. Then, like, through the course of that night, people were calling, I guess, the people who had taken him, the kidnappers, because at this point we're believing that he was kidnapped, and this is what they were saying on the phone. They were contacting Richard, talking to Richard, saying that they wanted $500,000 ransom. In order for him to see his brother again, he would have to give them $500,000. So it was like a lot of going backwards and forwards on the phone, and I don't have no $500,000. At one point, they even lowered it to $350,000, and they were still on the phone negotiating and saying, you know, playing tapes. They had played a tape of my little brother. He was saying that somebody had them and they want Richard to pay some money to get him back. That was a tape recording of him. And at the time, I guess it was taking too long, and the day was going by, and things wasn't happening, I guess, as fast as they would have liked it to. I guess to show Richard that they weren't playing and that they were dead serious and that they had him for sure. They told him to go to McDonald's on 125th Street in Broadway, to go into the men's bathroom and look up underneath the sink, and there would be something there for him. Now at this time, I'm like, you know, I believe something is really going on. This is dead serious. And my thing was, for some reason, I felt like they probably was sending something of his back to us to let them know, to let us know that they were serious. So at that time and at that point, I said, if it's a piece of, like, if it's a piece of my brother, I don't want to know. And they went to my cousin went, Peanut went, and a friend of Richard's. They went over to McDonald's. They came back. They said they didn't see anything. So the people called back and said, did you get it? Did you get it? Or whatever. And they were so persistent with it. I was like, there's something there. So they told them to go back. They went back and they came to the house and they huddled with Richard and they were discussing something, and I didn't really know what it was at the time. So I was like, what happened? Like, I know they didn't send. And what they ended up telling me was that they had sent a copy of a tape and my little brother's finger with 2 of his rings. And on the tape, like, they brought the tape, they wouldn't bring it upstairs, I guess, because I had already stated that if that was so, I didn't want to see it and I didn't want to know. But they brought the tape upstairs and they played the tape, and on the tape, my little brother is, he's crying. And he's like telling us that they cut his finger off. He's asking for us to help him. He asked for me. He asked for my brother. He was like, Richard, give them the money. They cut my finger off. They said if you don't give them the money, they're going to cut my hand off. So at this time, like, through the whole, from the beginning, there was no police contact. We hadn't contacted it. It was just like family who knew what was going on. Family and friends. So they telling us the whole time, don't contact the police. They'll know when the police will be contacted because they watching us. But when they sent his finger back, it scared me. And I'm like, this is serious. It's out of our control. You know, they done sent his finger. They done sent 2 rings. It's out of our control. I said, let's tell the cops. And like December 10th came. It was still negotiations going on and backwards and forwards over the phone. And it's like, they might have thought because of the fancy cars that Richard drove, the jewelry, or whatever, that he might have really had that type of money to give. But in the end, we really found out who it was. And to me, they were niggas that's in the street that know just as motherfucking well that if you a drug dealer and you hustling or whatever you doing, you the man sitting next to the man sitting next to the man. Somebody is always sitting next to somebody else. I might have it, but I have to pay this person and that person have to pay that person. And then I'm in the street, I'm dealing with losses constantly. This loss, that loss, the cops taking, the people taking, the family taking. And it's like, these people know the rules of this game that Richard was in. The negotiation was going backwards and forwards. And like Richard at times was like, he really felt like even if we would have given the money, that my little brother, we wasn't going to never see him again. like realistically, the real view of it was, it probably was somebody that we knew. And if it was somebody that we knew, Donnell knew them, and they're not going to give him back. So December 10th, they sent like the final call, like they said, they sent a note. And at this time, we were in my house reading the letter. My godmother lives upstairs, so we all go upstairs, like my uncle, my brothers, we upstairs and we discussing, like, because the cops are now in our apartment. They've taken over the investigation. They listening in on phone calls. So we didn't want to speak in front of them. We like, if this is our last chance to get my little brother back, let's try to do this on our own, because January 4th, history be known that cops from the Bronx came to my door saying that they needed to let my mother know that they had found her son's body. My mother go into shock, basically screaming and hollering and going on and on about Donnell. You know, not my baby, Donnell. And the cops are sitting there looking puzzled, like, Donnell, like, what is she talking about? And one of the cops asked, do you have a son named Richard? Found. They just said they think that this body that they found might be my little brother. The whole ride I'm praying and hoping that it's really not. Like, it's like, God forbid that somebody else's child, it could be. Just, to me, just don't let it be my little brother. So we get downtown to the morgue, and they show me a picture of my little brother. It was Donnell. And in some instance, like, because we had them buried Richard by then, this was January 28th, we buried Richard January the 10th. And it's like, I thought that maybe I would never see or hear of anything of Donnell again. And when they found his body, it brought some, like, at that time, some peace to me, because I was just glad that my little brother wasn't just out there somewhere without us knowing where he was or whether he was dead or alive, or that's just something that would have always, like, lingered on us. So it brought some peace that, okay, now we know.
And I know his mother's gonna get this, and like I told you, I told you this in the beginning, I had love for Richard. I mean, Richard was tight, man. That was my man and all that, and it was a crazy love, but it was love, and I know his mother gonna be reading this, so I just wanted to let her know that, yo, I'm not just trying to just dog her son, because his brother did have love for his son, so I wanted to get this in there too. See, I wrote it like this. I do wish things could have went differently, especially for the little boy, Donnell. That's the little brother. He had nothing to do with the game. He had nothing to do with the game, so he shouldn't have went out the way they took him out. But unlike his brother, he was a player in this vicious game. He chose to play and take part of it. And I'm just trying to say, you know, I'm really sorry what happened to his brother, but you know, his brother, he played a part, you know, he was a part of this crazy game. So I wanted to get that in there. Is this making sense to you?
First, let me start by saying that I am deeply saddened by the manner in which you portrayed my son, when in fact, in your heart, you knew what you said was untrue. It is easy to try to vilify the dead when the dead has no advocate to counter the claims against them. You are sadly mistaken, though. As long as the breath of life remains in my mouth, I will always be that advocate that my son's spirit cries out for in his shallow grave.
It really hurt me when they killed Stan. Nobody knew who to shoot. We ain't even have a plan. He sold me my first gun. He held my first son. If I was with him shooting it out, bitch, we the one. I shed tears for my niggas who ain't here. They tattooed and spit that real shit to remember him. Bitch, I'm that dude. Catch a op and spit on his baby daughter. I'm that rule. Right at 3 o'clock as soon as he get out of school. You killed my dude. I don't give a fuck about you. I hope somebody killed you in case I never.
From the birth of the union between you and my beloved son, I knew that you would be the Judas who would betray his name, love, friendship, and honor. I could understand to some degree because you have always tried to emulate my son and walk in his shadows. You were feared, but my son was loved. He was revered while you were detested. I also understand because of your need to justify your own less than noble actions, you have chosen the narrow path of shifting animosity and disdain on others to dim the lights of some of your most atrocious crimes against the ones that loved you the most. A coward dies 1,000 times, a soldier dies but once. Your spirit is trying to recover from the fact that you have snitched on the ones who have shown you a degree of love unparalleled. You admitted to snitching on your most prized confidant in D.C., Wayne Perry, that must have ripped his soul apart more than any sentence that could have ever been imposed on him. It is sad that Wayne Perry was so hurt during his indictment he didn't even try to deny the accusations because he couldn't believe that the very man who he tried to keep alive at all costs was trying to kill him via a lengthy prison sentence. You also admitted to killing your friend Gary in a fashion unfit for the most profound of enemies, with friends like you who needs enemies. You have set a dangerous precedent that should not be emulated in any regard. You have tried to convince the masses in the streets that snitching is cool and passe. You call it doing po. I call it plain old-fashioned telling. Those that will compromise their manhood by giving you the time of day when you come home will only testify to their own weaknesses. You may have put fear in most, but real men will see you for who you really are, a no-good double-crossing parrot who tried to walk in my son's regal shadow and could never quite attain the grandeur that my son attained. Your statements have made you an open target for criticism. You should have left the issue in the wind to blow away, but you decided to harness it like the bridle of a horse. The more you speak ill of a man that is not here to defend himself, the more you appear to be envious, deceitful, immoral individual the world has known you to be all along. Your statements have made you an open target for criticism. You should have left the issue in the wind to blow away, but you decided to harness it.
That shit was deep, man. And I got absolutely nothing to say about the way a mother feels about her child and what happened to him.